kick it back into gear. So it might take ranking a little bit longer to get into this series if they start cold. I think that's definitely a discussion to be had, but going into the picks and bans here is where things do get pretty interesting. Black Widow picked from ranking earlier today, and for Carahouse, they went for Compound. And I think that could actually just be the map pool here again. Eagle Eye is going to be taken away by ranking to kick off things.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise just considering their history. These maps are going to be a lot of close quarters, I think, coming out here. Ranking, maybe a Mexico pick could be strong, or a Compound. I think that's where I would lean if I was them in this series to have a good chance. Subbase is also pretty strong for both of these teams, so I could see that coming out as well here. But for ranking, I'm really surprised they've left Ankara on the table, because that's got to be Carahouse's pick here.
They're going to pick it first.
YOLO.
They're like, you can't pick it if we pick it ahead of you. I don't really understand that.
I mean, they had a good game against, or a decent game against Vincent on it, and they had a pretty good game on it against X-Rock as well. So
recent results.
Again, it's like those recent, and look, end of the day, I mean, yeah, they also beat Anubis on it 10-5, right? So they've actually kind of been picking it for the most part in this event. And yes, the history certainly will show that Carahouse is more favorable on Ankara. But again, you lose to them 9 times in a row, you probably pick up a thing or two that you might have done wrong. So they've got a lot of data to take a look at. And as you predicted, Kyle, Mexico in the pool here for Carahouse. I actually think that's a pretty bold prediction considering how well ranking played that against Kangana earlier on.
I feel like for Carahouse, though, it is still one of their stronger maps. I feel like ranking, though, this is actually kind of a good power move to make. If you can go against a map you've historically lost every single time against Carahouse in map number 1 and then win that, it could kind of shatter their mental game.
Yeah, it definitely can. This is a very interesting map pool. Like the first couple of maps coming out here, Ankara 0-9, will we flip that script? Is the recent result of ranking against other teams going to be enough to overcome Carahouse on that map? And Mexico, I agree with you, Kyle. I think that Carahouse looked incredibly strong, especially on the GR side of that one. Not going to start on that side, obviously, as it is their map pick. Subbase and Port are banned away, which means we will get into Compound for the third and final map of this series. Who are we liking for this one after seeing these maps?
I'd say ranking for sure. I feel like these maps play into them pretty well. Also, when you look at the history of Carahouse in this event, the GR side is where they've thrived, and they don't get a start on that for any of these maps.
I mean, it is, like it's wild that you would say ranking because, again, Carahouse have won Ankara 9 times in a row. But then again, you kind of got to play that mind game same way as ranking are. And like if they're bold enough to choose Ankara into a team that they've lost it against 9 times, who are we to doubt them? Like that's basically just throwing your glove on the table. Actually, no, I'm going to retract that. It's picking your glove up off the table, slapping your opponent in the face with it and saying, come at me, bro. So, I don't know, Ankara, Mexico, I mean, I have no idea. I really have no idea. I feel like this one's such a hard one to call. Like I said, my personal feeling, obviously, with the prediction is ranking is the better team currently on the day at the moment. But that could very much change over the course of this series. And the map pool, I kind of feel like you can make a really good argument either way, right? If you're a ranking supporter, you can say, yep, they've figured out, maybe what they did wrong on Ankara. They know that Carahouse is good on this map, but they've also been picking it all tournament long. They've also played really well on Mexico. They beat Kangana there, and Compound's definitely in the wheelhouse for ranking too. But then again, on the behalf of Carahouse, well, 9-0 on Ankara, there's definitely that. They also beat Kangana earlier today on Mexico, and so, I mean, Compound, again, same thing. They play a lot of Compound Carahouse, so it's definitely a map pool that feels like you can really just make an argument one way or the other, depending on who you're supporting, depending on who you prefer. As we've said, my preference, ranking, but Carahouse, they did look better in that last game, and if Dollar can show up again and print some dollar bills, then I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point you make, especially there at the end, the dollar bills. I really like that. I think
he was fun.
That's very poignant. I do think also on this desk, we are biased towards the ranking esports side, and that's fine. I do think that though. I think we're going 3 maps in this one.
You know
I think the teams are going to win their map picks. I think Ankara has been really good for ranking esports. They're going to come out strong. And it might get close because this is a map that I would expect Carahouse to also have a lot of confidence on, but I think ranking will be better this time. And then I think Carahouse will eventually pull through on Mexico.
You know what's funny about you saying that, though, is that like I actually come into this tournament with bias for Carahouse, and over the 3 matches of both teams that we've watched thus far, or now 4, I've actually been more convinced by ranking. So it's kind of like, you know, yeah, there is that bias coming in now for ranking, but actually it has been swayed by what we've seen at this event.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd agree. I feel like Carahouse has looked really underwhelming, even against Kangarna. Yeah, they still win those 2 maps somewhat convincingly, but I feel like the first map was just really sloppy from them.
Yeah, and the third map was 5v1s.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing against the other guys, but, you know, Famous was putting up some incredible numbers by himself. Like sometimes you got that one guy. But yeah, Carahouse coming together as a team, getting the job done. And so now we move on to Ankara. So picked up here by the side of ranking esports, and Carahouse selects Blacklist for the first half. So let's see how that does work for them. If they can get a decent start there, they've been so good on Global Risk, and maybe they just pull it through on Ankara anyway. Both sides getting fired up as we do move into this incredibly important wildcard matchup.
It's a good way to put it. Incredibly important, I agree. It's Baisha or Xrock, and Baisha just feels impossible to beat at this point. Xrock have maybe not looked quite so indomitable, so it is still a rock and a hard place, but I guess you'd prefer one over the other. At least that's my thought.
In a hard place?
Yeah, I really could have gone for that one, couldn't
I?
Either way, let's see what Carahouse can do here. They'll be kicking things off on the attack on the Blacklist side. And ranking, I have my eyes peeled to see where Ice Cube is setting himself up. And right now he is just watching mid from the tower.
Yeah, Carahouse playing pretty spread out so far. Really hoping for one of these opening picks to be found. There is some trade potential towards the A bomb site, but for the most part, it's a pretty individualized approach that they're looking for.
Again, double Orm setup, though, from Carahouse on the attack, and is something that we have seen from them a little bit in the past. Rambo and Shady do tend to share the sniping duties in this Carahouse roster. It doesn't really feel like they have one dedicated sniper. And obviously what that indicates to you, if you're going to run double sniper setup, you want to play a little bit slower in that Blacklist round. Like, you don't want to be going for any rushes. You want to be trying to find picks. You want to be slowly working the angles exactly as Rambo is doing and kind of clearing things out one by one. But if you don't inevitably find one of those opening picks, it can make it a little bit harder to entry into the site because you just don't get quite as much versatility out of that weapon as you do a rifle.
Yeah, at the same time, we are going to see Shady getting off the now. Definitely smart not to have 2 when you go for that full push, especially if you're going towards this B side of the map. You've got to be ready to hit those trade shots. Rambo still holding it in mid. The rest of Carahouse here trying to work their way in slowly towards this B bomb side. I like the lurk as well, still sitting on this A bomb side. It's actually going to be a full fake here as well. Shady going A with the bomb here, and these 2 players towards B are actually trying to draw off the full rotation, and it could work here. You can see Humio thinking about rotating off, and now here comes the play onto the A bomb site. There's actually nobody to defend A, and even though these players go down on the B bomb site, Carahouse have a free A bomb site.
These are the mind games. We're already seeing it from round 1. These 2 teams know each other so well that I'm sure Carahouse are like, okay, this has worked before, or maybe they'll just never expect this because we haven't done this against them before. As now trying to set up a defense here against this retake. Very nicely done so far as one by one the dominoes fall on the side of ranking esports. As JRK picks up, I believe, a 3K as well on the defense. Very nice strategy and completion there for the first round.
Was indeed a 3K. I think part of the issue actually there for ranking is that the bomb went down so fast, and even though they rotated across pretty quickly, like, they really didn't have a lot of time to go for a 2-pronged retake. They were all filtering through from the same angle. They're all pushing in through a smoke. There was no real nuance to it for ranking. They didn't have a lot of util to get them back into that site either, and they just get farmed on the way in, pushing through the smoke, which is obviously very likely to go wrong. So Carahouse will be happy to kick things off. You heard them making a lot of noise. Smokes down here on main from Carahouse, but again, another opener from Lucas. And you're starting to wonder, is ranking maybe a bit out of their depths on this map? Humio is going to push to try to equalize the numbers, though he's not quite able to finish off JRK, who's more than happy to sit around the corner and preserve his life.
Yeah, I like what Carahouse is doing as well. You can hear it from them on the stage, just kind of trying to intimidate ranking and make them think this is an unwinnable game for themselves. And it's a solid approach. It might just work here. Humio, you can tell he's a little bit shaky on the aim so far on this map. Hasn't really had a chance to shine. He's playing a little bit more reserved than he usually would as well. Normally going in, swinging early, trying to find these picks on the GR side, but they're almost giving Carahouse a little bit too much respect, I think.
Yeah, well, is there an element of the fact that ranking are not warmed up? They have had time off the stage, whereas Carahouse did play in that previous match, so they'll still be feeling a little bit more comfortable in their positions. Might take ranking, you know, a good 4 or 5 rounds actually to get into this game, which at a certain point could feel a little bit too late.
Yeah, especially if they start to build up this momentum. Playing 3 maps back-to-back, quick break, coming back about 20 minutes later. Feels pretty good for Carahouse.2L at this point in time. Ranking, as you mentioned, Kyle, maybe just a little bit too much respect, very passive, as now we do have at least one guy pushing up through mid, but Ice Cube, ooh, should have seen that barrel, I would imagine. Yeah, that's gonna, okay.
Bit uncharacteristic.
Yeah, he doesn't miss those generally.
No, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. How warmed up are these ranking members? KT15, he's going to be able to strike onto Rambo, but stuck behind a smoke, and the plant has gone down, so time working against ranking. Not only that, but also the numbers. Humio wants to try to get involved here, but so far it is just KT15, and oh dear, a 2-on-5, is that possible for ranking? Maybe it's a little bit out of their realms of possibility. And again, the noise being made on the Carahouse side of the stage.
Yeah, it's a tough start, but it definitely feels like ranking has a mental block against this team so far. They've got to get around that, because that shot underpass, Ice Cube, he never misses that. Never.
No.
And then all of a sudden, it's like a different player here in this situation. This time, though, he will hit the opener onto JRK. Lucas quickly there for the trade, but you can tell ranking, they want to get aggressive this time. All 4 players pushing out of this A-bomb site. They're trying to go for the info play. Carahouse just waiting to see if they're going to take the bait here. KT15 wants to, but it's Rambo. He's set up. They're waiting for this. They know exactly what ranking wants to do here.
Yeah, it's the mind games. Carahouse has played against ranking a lot of times on this map. They're going to be aware of their tendencies. They're going to be aware of their adaptations. When they are ahead, Carahouse is thinking, well, what is ranking likely to do in this scenario? And they anticipate that aggression. Didn't anticipate Nevis sitting around the corner there, and they maybe don't anticipate him finding a 1v4, but that's definitely feeling on the cards at the moment. He has hit a couple of beautiful shots there initially. And now it's down to Dola and Shady, though Nevis has gone in the wrong direction to stop this plant going down.
Yeah. Could always wait on a site and see what's, you know, if they do come to B, maybe you can get a pick off, delay the plants, but if they do plant A, you're in a 1v2 anyway. And now he's actually over by B and also able to look over by A to see if a plant is coming down. Very central position, spots Dola. Not quite able to take his head off there. He does do a little bit of damage. But yeah, gets the information early and is able to rotate on time.
It's not an impossible retake, but isolating duels is going to be pretty difficult coming through from A main, though Shady now has been spotted. But the fact that he falls off the line there is a good thing. Gives Dola the chance to swing, though, but the 1v1 given over, and Nevis, oh, he spots out Shady. It's so doable. Time a factor. Shady will win it. That was scary for a moment. 1v4 was definitely on the cards, and honestly, it kind of feels like ranking needs something like that to get them back into this game.
So unfortunate though, Nevis.
What a shot.
It looked like he was going to have it after that last shot onto Dola,
Yeah.
but it's just not enough. And Ranking continue to struggle here so far on this pick, but this is what they wanted. They wanted a chance to take it to them on Ankara, but they're kind of getting what they asked for, it feels like here.
Yeah, I mean, not sure really what they expected, although, you know, Ranking Esports also starting off very slow, and then they try to challenge out outside of A, and they just kind of get rolled over by Rambo and Lucas. The two of them absolutely have been putting up some numbers. Funnily enough, Carahouse 3-0, Dola 0-3. Not sure how you manage that, but, you know, not everybody has a perfect day every day. Dola was fantastic in the last series. Hopefully he can turn that one around, and Lucas has really stepped up. And they're certainly doing better than Ranking Esports at this point. So
Yeah, I guess Lucas was the one that we were sort of talking about for Carahouse prior to today. So I guess that's how you do it. 6-2 for Lucas. He's been leading from the front. Shady's been having good impact with the Orm as well. And look, end of the day, I do just feel like Ranking is a bit cold at the moment. This is not the same Ranking we saw earlier today against Kangana. It's not the same Ranking we saw a couple of days ago get their first win in this event. And I'm going to be so disappointed if this ends up being an easy victory for Carahouse because Ranking doesn't play well. Because I really feel like the storyline has been shaping up so nicely. It's been like a fairy tale for Ranking. They started so badly, and they've looked better and better as the event's gone on. And to kind of falter here would be really unfortunate, because I think it would be the end of their tournament, forcing them into a game against Baisha. But first time in the map that we've actually seen the opening pick go the way of Ranking. Ice Cube able to connect with a shot. Does force a 4v5, and this one now really is must win for Ranking. Otherwise, their momentum just goes down the toilet.
Yeah, Ranking here. They've got to hold on to this A bomb site. Only 20 seconds. Carahouse really running down the clock here. It's already Lucas to find one, and now they just can't hold on. It's going to be Fotcon stuck here on the fence line. Doesn't matter. Can't take the fight and win it. And look at this. They're not ready for the flank at all. Lucas gets the back stab. Ice Cube left alone. 1 versus 3. They already know he's going to be coming from this GR spawn. Lucas spots him on the shoulder peak. Ice Cube, he's going to have to connect. Doesn't matter. Lucas continues to hit the shots.
I'm so sad. I am really sad. Like,
it's okay, they have a pause.
I know, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really matter to me which team actually wins this. Like, I have no dog in the fight, or no horse in the race, so to speak. But I just feel like Ranking can do so much better, and we're seeing day 1 and day 2 Ranking here. We're not seeing day 3 and day 5 Ranking.
Yeah, it also looks like Carahouse are really on point. I mean, outside of Dola, obviously, but everybody else on the team is getting just really crisp entries. Lucas especially. Ankara, at the end of the day, even 4v5, you could see that if the enemy is not in a good position and you get a good entry onto A, you know, a couple flashes over the top, a guy walks up the stairs, just takes the one guy who's playing top A, and then all of a sudden, you know, Lucas right through mid, very nice execution, almost N9-esque what he was doing on port to Carahouse with the timings there. So yeah, I think that Carahouse are playing it really well. They're really warmed up, you know, in terms of talking about that specifically. This is the timing from Lucas here.
Yeah, Ice Cube's felt like mostly a non-factor. Humio hasn't really got going. It's not as if anyone's really not doing anything, you know, like everyone's getting 50 ADR, they're getting a kill here and there, but you don't have a standout. You don't have your star players popping off, which is what Ranking really do rely on in a lot of cases. And you definitely look to probably Ice Cube 1, Humio 2, Nevis 3. None of them are having the great performance. They're all having a middling performance, and that's fine if someone else is having a great performance. But if everyone's just going to be average, then you're going to get an average result. And that's what we're seeing right here. 4-0 for Carahouse. And Ranking must be wondering, why on earth did we pick Ankara?
Yeah, it's not seeming like a great pick so far. There is still time to recover, though. Only down 4-0. We've seen already in the day, we can have 5-round streaks back and forth pretty easily in the wild card, but for ranking, it's going to be another tough round that they're up against. 3 players on the A-bomb side, and 3 really moving into them here for Carahouse. It is going to be the bomb carrier. Playing pretty safe, though. JRK trying to poke around towards the vents. Lucas working his way into A connector. And again, they kind of just spread out here. And for Carahouse, normally I would say this is a bad idea, but it seems to be working quite well against ranking so far, just not winning those aim duels. Specifically Lucas, though, here, 9-2 so far in this matchup, over 2 kills per round, really making it difficult to get anything going for ranking.
3 players stacked over toward the A site this time for Carahouse. Part of the problem has been that almost every time ranking have hit the A site, there's only been 2 players there, and the first frag has always gone the way of ranking. So it's pretty much ended up being like a 1-person site hold. And it's not the kind of site that you can hold as a solo member, because there's multiple entry points.
Here comes Carahouse right down the middle, trying to mix it up a little bit.
Good call.
Might as well, I guess, although Ice Cube is looking, he's not going to hit the shot. And now the swarm is coming in. Falcon has a very nice timing. Ice Cube at least trades one. Falcon trying to get the jump on him. Will anyone look at the window? Yes, they will, of course. Lucas will not mess it up again. Well, I say again, he hasn't messed it up yet. He is just going to be so clean. JRK on the entry on the B as well. And this will be all Carahouse to make it onto the site. 3v2 as well. So unless Nevis gets a big string of headshots once again, this is not going to look well, as Rambo just going to take him out.
Well, I was going to say, this is where Humio normally does his best work, right? 1v3, 2v3, but Rambo shuts him down, and again, so much noise from Carahouse. They surely have to be getting in the heads of ranking right now. This is just a drought. And believe me, I'm from Australia. I've lived through a drought. It's not fun. Let's have 4-minute showers. They gave everyone an egg timer. You stick it in the shower on the wall.
Wow.
Not fun. 4 minutes.
Sorry about that.
You barely even get wet. And, geez, I mean, ranking are experiencing it right now. Like, they just cannot find a round, can they?
It's kind of ridiculous how far away this has fallen already from ranking. On the precipice of a 6-0
This
in
doesn't work.
one. KT15, though, hey, there's one, almost 2. The trade's there. Fotcon makes it at least somewhat valuable. Doesn't matter. Lucas right there for the double himself. And he's got the C4 pickup now. They can go back towards A. 3-on-2. And again, ranking, they're just not winning the fights when they need to.
Yeah. Look, I understand why ranking has to go for that. They're down on numbers. They have to try to do something to equalize things. They feel like they're losing control of this. It's just slipping away from them so fast. They want to have some proactivity. But at the end of the day, you need to be doing a little bit more early in the round.
Yeah, it's just really rough when Rambo now is on point. It's almost like Carahouse, they're like, all right, we're facing a Vietnamese team. We really got to crush them. And finally we see the Carahouse.2L that we expected to see all tournament. And they're just not missing a beat. Lucas is so clean. Rambo is hitting his shots. I mean, come on, like, how are you going to beat a team that's this hot right now? And it's not just like a famous scenario. It's a Lucas and Rambo and Shady and even JRK scenario.
They just need to cool them down. They need a bit of Ice Cube, right? Like, it's Ice Cube just completely missing, Humio completely missing. But when they're too hot, I don't know. Ice Cube feels like he's a little bit too cold. And I know I'm going a bit too deep on these analogies, but so many absolute sitters that Ice Cube 100% of the time in all these previous matches would be hitting. Even in the games that they're losing, he's hitting those shots. But he is just not in this game against Carahouse. Humio as well. He's like 1-5, 1-6 at this point. So if you can't rely on those two, Nevis is not really having his impact either. Where do the frags come from? KT15 and Fatcom feel like they're, you know, more of the supportive elements in this team anyway, but KT15 is debatably at this point maybe the one that's like looking the best of the ranking riflers. And sure, it's a blacklist-sided map, but not to this extent. And there you go. Again, Humio is just going to be taken down. But why is he going for that peak solo? Like, there's no control anywhere else in the map. Ice Cube's going to try to get aggressive. I like this in mid. There's 3 players there. Carahouse surely can't trade it down. Dola will fall. Numbers are still favoring Carahouse. It's just unbelievable. Every single fight is going their way. Even when it looks like Ranking should have the advantage, it slips away from them. Man, Carahouse is not putting a foot wrong, are they?
Another one down here. I mean, Carahouse just looking good across the board. Ranking clearly just having a mental block in this match, not able to do anything, whether it's aggressive or passive. They just can't find the answer. Humio 1-7. Ice Cube at least up to 5 now, but Lucas on 13-3. And Rambo having one of the better games we've seen out of him so far in this event as well. Just makes it so difficult to believe there's a way out on this one when you already know, historically, you haven't found it either on this map in the past. So I feel like this one's already over at this point. Maybe they've got something in the next 2 maps of this series, but Ranking, there's just no trades working out for them. They go for these peaks at the start of the round, and they still are just met with disaster after disaster. You can see KT15 trying to sneak in here, but finally gets something to work out. Takes down Dola, can fall off, and now they finally have a good situation. But Lucas, yeah, he's already on the backstab here, gets the shots onto Fotcon. JRK takes down Humio, and how do you let this happen? Time and time again, Ranking, they are just not paying attention to what they need to here.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you only have so many members, right? If you're going to send 3 out of office to push spawn, and you put 2 guys on the one site, you're not going to have any guys on mid. And Lucas, again, his rotations, his timings have been incredibly crisp, and he is going to set up this win in this round. You would have to imagine. I don't even. I'm already calling it a win. It's not over yet, but Shady now is hitting all the shots too. That's 3 in a row in the same vent.
Who are these guys?
It's 8-0. It's 8-0.
I don't know what to say. I mean, look, yesterday night we had Baisha vs Carahouse 10-1, 10-1. We were thinking, are we going to get our first 10-0? Well, we didn't get it there. I'm going to bring it up again. Is this a 10-0 angle?
Yes.
This is not the game I would have thought we would have got it in. I thought this was actually going to be a highly competitive fight, and it has been anything but. Best case scenario now for Ranking is an 8-1 half, and even though they get the opening pick, I have zero faith that they're going to be able to win this round. It just seems like Carahouse can't put a foot wrong.
Yeah, I feel like this one is certainly over here. 10-0 would not surprise me. Fotcon caught. Doesn't even know Lucas is going to be there, even though they have no reason to believe mid should be open because they've already had a player die in mid, and it's just these small errors that are just stacking up completely against them, and now they've got to find a way out in a numbers down situation. They still have some things they can do here. They're just going to go for the wide swing onto mid. Lucas spots them both with JRK, and they are tapped out of existence. Hugh left alone, 1 versus 4. He needs something big here to make it happen, but at 2-8, I don't think he's got it in him right now.
We need a huge miracle.
That was his 2nd kill. And he was like the main rifler of the squad. They've just totally fallen apart. He's trying to check every single angle, but he does not check the one right direction. It is 9-0.
Have we had a 9-0 half so far?
No.
All right.
It always ended at 8-1 and then 10-1.
This is it. This is the 10-0. It's the angle.
You know, it's either going to be one of those, like, okay, Baisha or All Gamers beating up on, like, a lower ranks team, or it's just this, where it's like, you know, 2 teams that know each other so well, and one of them just gets so far ahead of the other that it's just a huge mental block. It's so obvious at this point.
Kind of would be a little bit poetic, though, if Carahouse get 10-0 on Ankara to bring up the 10-0s on Ankara. Because they've beaten Ranking 9 times.
Oh, no.
And I think it might be happening 9 times to 0, and they're going to 10-0 them for the 10-0. I just don't believe it. Ranking, you have to have a good hard look at yourself after this one and think, why did we pick Ankara? That could have possibly not gone any worse. And Nevis is now here in the 1v4. Carahouse have just I mean, they've put them in the bag, they've thrown them in the bin, and they've taken them out onto the curb for collection because this has just not even been close at all. Nevis, he'll get one onto Shady. Can he be the hero? Absolutely not. 10-0, the first one of the Crossfire Stars.